Apple just wrapped up WWDC 2026, and there are multiple new features coming to your iPhone, iPad, Mac, and more. But unlike previous years, Apple took a different approach to presenting these updates. This year, Apple focused on 3 main points to talk about during the event, instead of discussing each operating system separately for each device. Platform improvements, trust and safety, and Apple Intelligence in Siri. Let's start with platform improvements, the first major focus of this year's WWDC. As you may know, Apple recently changed how the user interface looks. Instead of flat icons, we now have clear icons that make the interface look clean. But to some people, it can be hard to see certain elements. So iOS 27 lets users tint the liquid glass effect, improving contrast and making text easier to read. Sidebars are now expanded to have a clearer look, and app icons have more layers to look 3D. Besides the design updates, with AirPods, you can now change how you want them to sound with the new equalizer. In Apple Vision Pro, panoramas can now be turned into spatial scenes. Apple is also enhancing the visual experience in other areas. Maps looks more realistic, with more detail and improved rendering that makes exploring places on maps more natural. Based on all the features announced for platform improvements, I would rate all these updates a 4 out of 10. Most of these updates are things most people wouldn't notice, besides being able to change how your AirPods sound. Now onto trust and safety, which was actually the part of the event that applied to me the most. Parents can now create a child account, which allows parents to control what their kids see, who they can talk to, when they have access to their devices, and how they can guide their kids. Parents can now choose which pre-installed apps their kids can have. You can now get a more detailed view of how your kids use their devices, including how much time they spend on specific apps. Parents can now create customized screen time schedules, allowing them to control when certain apps can be used, and set different time limits based on the time of day or day of the week. Your kids' iPhones can now blur any explicit photos sent to them. Teenagers have to ask parents to add any new contacts to their messages. Kids under 13 have to ask to browse certain websites that were not approved by their parents. Being a teenager, I can see how this could apply to most parents, since their literal job is to protect their children at all costs. Shout out to parents. What surprised me the most about this part of the event is that it almost eliminates the need for a parental-controlled phone, like a Gab or a Bark phone. I would know, since I actually use a Gab mode myself. And many of these new features Apple announced are similar to the tools from the Gab phone. In fact, around 88% of teenagers own an iPhone. With so many teens using Apple devices, these new features can make a big difference for parents by giving them more tools to help keep their children safe, while still allowing them to use the phones they want. With all that in mind, I give the trust and safety updates a 9 out of 10. I'm really glad Apple is putting more effort into making the iPhone work better for kids, teens, and parents. Last but not least, Apple Intelligence and Siri. I think we all know how much of a disappointment Apple Intelligence and Siri have been. Hopefully, Apple didn't overpromise like they did last time. Anyways, you may know that earlier this year, Apple announced that they would be working with Google to make their AI model better, including Siri, to make her a more capable assistant and more conversational. Apple combined Siri and Apple Intelligence to become Siri AI, very creatively named. You can now customize how Siri sounds to the exact pace and expressivity. Siri can now understand what's on your screen, so now you can ask her questions about what you're looking at. which totally hasn't been on other Androids for years now, but okay. Siri now has a dedicated app that allows you to visit old conversations, including on the Apple Watch. Speaking of conversations, Siri can now do harder tasks. You can ask Siri about upcoming events, such as the FIFA World Cup, then have her help you plan a watch party by suggesting food based on one of the soccer games. After that, you can even ask Siri to send invitations to all your friends, all without having to switch between multiple apps, which again totally hasn't been on other Android phones for a while. Siri is now digitally immersive in Apple Vision Pro, allowing you to place her anywhere in the room. In addition, Siri also now has a place in the Camera app. You can point your camera at an object and ask Siri what it is, or even use it to get information about food, including nutritional details. And yes, Android phones have had similar features for a while. Besides identifying objects, Siri can also help you with splitting a bill. You can simply take a picture of a receipt and Siri would help you split the bill among everyone, making it much easier to figure out who owes what. Visual intelligence is now on Mac and Apple Vision Pro, and it allows you to ask questions about what's on your screen. You can ask Siri to rate your writing, and she automatically proofreads your work. Now for individual app updates, which I'm gonna speedrun for the sake of time. Number 1, Safari. Safari now automatically groups website tabs by topic, which makes your tabs look more clean. It can notify you for any events you see on a website that you want to join. Number 2, Shortcuts. You can now describe an extension that you want instead of using the default ones. Number 3, Passwords. The Passwords app can now tell you which passwords are compromised and need to be changed. Number 4, Messages. The Messages app can suggest creating a note if you were sent a grocery list. Number 5, Calendar. You can describe an event and Apple Intelligence can create it for you. Number 5, Phone app. The Phone app can show you information that is needed on a call. Number 6, Home app. The Home app groups any notifications from home security systems and automatically updates any changes. Number 7, Image Playground. Image Playground now allows you to make photorealistic images and allows you to edit them. Number 8, Photos app. You can now extend photos to make them bigger, and you can reframe your photos to a different angle. And that's it for the app updates. Apple has definitely come a long way from what Apple Intelligence started from. Anyways, I would rate Apple Intelligence and Siri a 6 out of 10. Some of these new updates to Siri have definitely been on Android phones before. All of these updates would be available in beta next month and would fully be ready in fall. I hope you enjoyed this video. It would really mean a lot if you subscribed and liked this video. I also have a question. Which of these updates are you most excited for? Leave a comment down below. Anyways, that's it for me. See you in the next one.